Welcome back to Rock Guitar Confidential with Scott and Ryan. On today's episode, why make art when nobody cares and AI is going to do it anyway? Find out next. The headphone amp with all the cables sticking out of it, it's kind of like a Cthulhu face with all the tentacles.
The ever-sleeping monster at the bottom of the sea, yes.
Right.
Yep.
Yes, the ancient one.
Yes.
Oh, man.
The call of Cthulhu.
Yes. Cheers to that.
It's indeed true. Now, I think if you're not mistaken, you should never wake Cthulhu because bad stuff goes down if that happens.
Unless you, have a blood oath with Cthulhu, and then you could...
Could you really trust Cthulhu, though?
You could eliminate your enemies. I don't know, man. We'd have to...
He doesn't seem like a very trustworthy kind of dude.
We'd have to dig into the mythos.
Yeah, it's true.
Cthulhu strikes me of a... the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of.
Which enemy?
Kind of ancient god.
Is it specifically Godzilla, Raptor? I mean,
So I think you just called it right into the MonsterVerse. They need to introduce Cthulhu. There's, if I were a writer for the MonsterVerse,
Is there a writer? I thought those movies just happened by themselves. They just sort of spontaneously produced.
Wait, they're not documentaries?
I thought they were documentaries.
What?
Oh God, I thought that was real. Oh man, we just lost half of Hong Kong.
Right.
That sucks.
Tokyo is still there.
It's true. Okay.
And we wrote a song about it.
That's true. We sure did.
We sure did.
It closes our record. That's actually fantastic.
It does. Yes.
By the way, one thing that's hilarious is that neither Ryan nor I have ever been to Tokyo.
No, never.
Yet we write about it. It's because it's a metaphorical Tokyo.
Yes. Well, but hey, after we get up to 2 or 3 listeners, you never know.
Yeah, it's true. Well, we already passed that. Come on.
I'm joking.
All right. Well, hey guys, just want to welcome you into the Rock Guitar Confidential podcast with Ryan and Scott. Thank you for joining us today. Ryan, say hello.
Hello.
Oh, okay. I was hoping for more than just hello on that.
Hello.
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 Hello. So
chip chiree.
Today's topic. What do you think, Ryan? So go ahead and lay it on folks.
So today's topic primarily is why make music if nobody cares?
That's true. Now let's kind of be clear about it. It's not that nobody cares. It's just that if you look at sales of any artist at this point, if they put out a new album, it's a small percentage of people will check it out the first week, and then it just kind of drops off into the ether and fails to exist anymore at that point, other than for a small audience. So I guess the question I would ask, and I would have to kind of figure this out, is it mostly why make music if you don't have a giant financial windfall at the end of that rainbow, or is it more about the fame? If these are things that are motivating you, then I don't know that you're making music for the right reasons. If that
Agreed.
makes sense, I think to me it feels like it's just it's a need, just like eating or breathing is a need. You have to make you have to be creative. If you're a creative person, whatever that creativity might do manifest itself, whether you're a painter or a sketcher or an animator or
an architect,
a writer, whatever it might be, that creative urge is overwhelming and something you have
maybe
to
if you're
express.
An atomic bomb maker, maybe you should back off.
Yeah, unless you're corrected by Christopher Nolan, in which case that's the one exception. You can go ahead and can scratch that creative itch.
Right. Maybe something else would be better.
Yes.
like sewing.
But music is something that if you're a musician, if you're an artist, you have to do. And my approach has always been sort of because I think you and I can both agree on this. We've never had the fortune of being at the right place at the right time with the kind of music we want to play.
Right, exactly.
We've always been kind of off in this corner. He's okay, well, you can do pop punk or rap metal. It's what's door number 3 on that one? It's so you kind of make the music you want to make that you can feel proud of and stand by, and you put it out in the world, and you just hope enough people like it that you can make a little bit of money and then maybe get some gigs out of it. I mean, that's kind of all you kind of care about. At least that's my thinking. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's its own reward.
Yeah. And this is the thing I did that I'm going to have forever, and I could show my grandkids this piece of music I wrote, and I'll have it forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and hopefully other people will enjoy it too, and everyone likes it. But, the idea that you're going to be Def Leppard or Taylor Swift or something, and everybody in the world's going to go buy your record, I just can't imagine. That's such a tiny percentage of artists ever reach that level. You know what I mean?
Yeah. My attitude about it is it's kind of similar to what Gene Simmons says about Kiss, which, and that's a guy who's had a lot of success by any measure,
sure.
Right? But his take on what Kiss is he says we wanted to make the band that we never saw.
That's interesting. I never heard that. I thought he just wanted to make sure that Peter and Ace had no financial access at all.
Well, that was later. That was later.
Make sure that Ace does not get the credit card numbers.
Right.
That's his most famous quote.
I wanted to build a multinational conglomerate business juggernaut.
Yes.
I wanted to sell lunchboxes.
Mostly in lunchbox and T-shirt business.
Gene really wanted to make sure that kids in the 70s were able to get their lunch safely to school.
Yes, that's important. Yeah.
That is important.
Honestly, he was way ahead of the game because he decided that merchandise was more important than music back in the 70s, back when you could still make money on music. It's like pretty amazing.
I will say, musically, Paul is my favorite
of the band.
I'm willing to admit it. I'm a Paul Stanley guy.
I'm more of a Bruce Kulick guy.
Yeah, Bruce Kulick is great. Well, in terms of songwriting, I'm a Vinnie Vincent guy.
Yeah, Vinnie Vincent is good too. In Kiss, Vinnie Vincent specifically in Kiss, and the first 2 Vinnie Vincent Invasion records. Yep. Outside of that,
well, what is outside of that? He did that Treasure album.
Well, I mean, whatever he's doing now, he's got some kind of album he's going to release or something now.
Oh, what really?
Yeah, but it's a scam. He's trying to do like crowdfunding and then keeps kicking the can down.
Right. He's been doing that for years.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, but outside of the handful of legitimate things he did, and not his whatever it is Ponzi scheme he's got going on now.
Yeah. So if you want to hear Vinnie Vincent songwriting, it's the only 2 VVI albums.
And what did Animalize was him, right?
No, that was Mark St. John.
Oh, it was Mark St. John.
Well, and who knows who actually wrote the songs? I think St. John only played solos, and some of them really rip, man.
Yep.
Too bad what happened to Mark St. John.
That's true.
Yeah, he has some sort of arthritic condition, and that forced him off the tour.
Yep.
And then he ended up getting beaten up in prison and dying of a meth overdose. Pretty
Terrible.
Sad, and
that's what opened the door to Kulick coming into the band, right? Because he was replacing him.
Yeah, Kulick was already on tour after having caught Gene and Paul's attention on the first Michael Bolton album.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because Michael Bolton wrote some songs for Kiss too.
Oh yeah,
on the Hot in the Shade album. Yep.
Okay, that makes sense.
Well,
that
Michael Bolton was a rock artist originally. He wasn't like a soul singer guy. He became that. He kind of slowly morphed into that.
He was like an AOR kind of guy.
Yeah, he's like a Steve Perry type. Yeah.
And for all of our listeners out there, AOR stands for Artist on Rotation.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah. I mean, I like Michael Bolton. I don't have a problem. He's a good songwriter. And I actually like soul music, too. So even when we get like doing the Sam Cooke stuff, I still think it's pretty awesome.
When a man loves a woman.
So cool, man. I love that. I wish I could ever be that cool. I know that's never in the cards for me.
Well, I mean, who can be as cool as Mike? I mean, Michael Bolton even got name dropped in Office Space.
That's true.
Right? Yep. Not the Michael Bolton, but a Michael Bolton.
Michael Bolton. One of the Michael Boltons.
Yeah. So Gene's attitude about we just wanted to create the band that we never saw. So the way that I interpret that for myself is if I want to hear a certain kind of song, I write it myself.
Yes. Well, you kind of have to now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's something that I think that, and even like when I first started out doing Scott Allen Project stuff, it was like, the times were just so terrible. I mean, I looked around at what the opportunities for a rock guitar player were in like the late 90s. It was like, okay, you either play pop punk kind of wannabe Green Day, Blink-182
or
stuff,
Limp Bizkit,
or Limp Bizkit, Korn, or you do like Godsmack. You stay away from me.
Yes, I don't like you very much.
And I didn't want any of that. I wanted to do freaking Queensryche meets Sabotage.
Yeah,
it's like,
absolutely.
That's what I wanted to do. So I realized that wasn't an option back in the late 90s. So I was like, well, I can maybe do this progressive like instrumental stuff, and at least I can get some audience doing that, and at least do the music I want to play with real playing and real progressive structures and real riffs. That's actual playing guitar, not what was popular at the time.
Yeah.
And I still am doing that to this day. And then with Ex Aegis, that gave me an opportunity to put out, great vocal oriented music, which is something I've always wanted to do too. With an amazing singer who can hit all the notes and just really, I think as an artist, it allows me to write, and you too, to write creatively. You know what I mean? In terms of not having to worry about what can the singer do or not do. It's like they can do whatever we need her to do.
Yeah, there's no limits. I mean,
Jude is the best.
Yeah, Jude is the best. Yes. So Jude Morgan can sing whatever we need her to sing.
Yep.
Alex Bosson can play whatever drums we need him to play.
Exactly.
Tom Frost can,
make anything sound
amazing.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Yeah, I'm just proud to know that I'm on this team with all of my friends that makes music that I want to hear.
Yeah, and I don't think we ever put anything out, at least myself, and I can speak for myself at least, that you're thinking everybody in the world's going to love this. You just put it out and hope that some people love it. And whoever loves it, and then that's great, and that's its own reward, like you said before. That's not like you're doing that because, hey, I'm going to pay off my second house with this, what I make from this album, because that doesn't exist anymore for
No,
anybody.
not at all. No.
Not even for huge artists does that exist. You know what I mean? Putting out music is basically for free. It's just like putting out business cards, almost like dropping them from a blimp or something. And that's basically what it is. Because, of streaming, everyone comforts themselves in thinking that, hey, I'm paying for the streaming service and therefore the artists are getting paid. And technically we are getting paid, but we're getting paid like
0.00000. Fast forward to an hour from now.
Exactly.
Per
stream. Which means you have to have millions of streams to even add up to a few $1,000.
Billions.
Yeah, it's like ridiculous. So
what I think the number is something like it needs to be like 100,000 listens and you'll make $6.
Yeah, I think it's actually less than that for 100,000 listens, but it's not.
It's nuts. That's why Taylor Swift re-recorded her early albums.
Yeah.
Well, that was because of, I guess, a label dispute. But she's also not on Spotify as far as.
Well,
I'm aware.
what's funny though, if you look at an artist
for Taylor.
If you're an artist of the size and stature of Taylor Swift, you could pretty much. There's record labels need you. You don't need them. You know what I mean? If you are willing to put the money up to get the infrastructure for a release out, then you can do it on your own, and you'll actually make it because the label's not taking however much percentage. They need you like a life preserver to stay in business.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you're an artist of that size, then you can do that. Adele's like that. There's a few artists like that who are really just massive. And then most everybody else is in the you need a label. Kind of, it's a symbiotic relationship, sort of. Everyone kind of needs each other to make stuff happen.
Yeah. So the ideal relationship with a label would be where they're helping you do stuff you can't do yourself.
Yeah. Whereas someone like Taylor Swift really doesn't need a label.
Right. She could be her own label.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
And she would make more money doing that. If there's probably just infrastructure reasons why she's not doing that. Yep. You know what I mean? I don't want to sit there and create a whole other business to go handle that, to make that happen, sort of thing.
That's right.
But I think really the consumers are the ones who are going to suffer ultimately. And it's weird. Your convenience is going to actually come back and bite you in the butt because you wanted it so convenient that it eventually just kind of devalued it to the point where it's like tap water. Who cares? And then who cares? And then you're going to get what you get. You know what I mean? As far as the quality goes, if you're not paying artists to make music, then it's going to be, you're going to get what you are putting out, if that makes sense.
So kind of a double-edged sword here, right? Like everybody should make music or art to satisfy themselves.
Yes.
And however, there is a glut of content.
Yep.
Also out there and available, right? So,
and that's the challenge, is like, especially if you're an independent artist, getting heard is probably the biggest challenge. So like finding some way of getting your music into people's ears, because there's so much like a cacophony of all this other stuff happening at the same time,
and not a cool cacophony like a Jason Becker, Marty Friedman cacophony.
Nope, not at all.
It's a different kind of cacophony,
a bad cacophony.
Bad cacophony.
But
not
I mean,
the good kind.
That being said, I do feel like if you're persistent and you keep working at it and keep promoting, the cream will rise to the top. I mean, whatever top there is to be risen to.
It's a very small cup. It's definitely what's the smallest Starbucks size?
It's the tall.
The tall. See, that's so, man, it should be,
It's not grande.
It's tall, right?
Yeah.
It's not venti or Trenta.
Exactly.
It's the cream no longer rises to the top of a Trenta-sized cup.
So if you're a musician, you kind of oftentimes get faced with this sort of like, do I do covers? Do I get a wedding band? Do I do like a tribute band? Or do I just make original music? And a lot of people choose the covered tribute band option because it's more immediate. It's like you're going to get money right away. You just got to rehearse and go, but you have to work a lot to get.
Right. Well, our friend Thomas Murphy was on the program previously.
Yeah.
And, talked all about tribute bands, but he actually him and his partner Terry Allison, also a good friend of mine. She runs the Weekend Warriors program at Skips.
Yep.
They just launched a new tribute band called Stand Back, a tribute to Stevie Nicks.
Oh, that's really cool.
And I'm happy to report it's awesome.
But that's one option you have. And then the challenge with that is that you'll have to work really hard and you have to be very dedicated to doing that artist, the tribute you're doing.
Right, like costume changes even, the whole shooting match.
And learning the whole catalog and all that stuff. And then the flip side of that is you're going to get money for that pretty quick as long as you're a good band and able to get shows. The downside of that is you're not going to have any kind of creative outlet. You're not putting any creative stuff out there in the world, and time is short and you only have so much of it. So you have to kind of decide how you want to put or budget your time and what you're going to put your time and energy towards. You want to put it towards your music, or you want to put it towards doing this other thing, both of which are valid. I'm not judging either way.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just a matter of what's right for you, essentially, at the end of the day. It's almost
right.
like you can be a Kings fan, or you can have no soul and be a Lakers fan.
That's exactly right.
That's
or no soul and be a Warriors fan.
Now I will stand up for the Warriors. Warriors are okay. They're local boys too.
No, dude, they're becoming the new Lakers, man.
Nah, they just got bounced in the second round. What are you talking about?
Hopefully with Bob Myers, their GM, hopefully leaving, and with the new player agreement, right? Hopefully the salary cap.
Steph Curry's still going to be there, man.
Well, I mean, yeah, Steph will be there, but like, who else is going to be there?
Man.
They've got to jettison the vets.
I've seen Steph do some
The
crazy
Sacramento
stuff,
Kings are on the rise.
That's damn right.
Everybody,
Preach.
That's right.
Preach. The Kings are going to be taking the Western Conference next year.
Yeah, you know
damn
what?
right.
If they make the right moves, they totally
Yep,
could,
yep.
man. They just need to pick up Naz Reid as a backup center.
Everybody
Let's
who's
get,
living on the East Coast of the United States or out of the country does not care at all about what we've been talking about for the last 2 minutes. All right.
Hey, you know.
Hey, we're long-suffering
you
Kings
got me
fans.
rolling.
We got a good team finally for the first time in a long time, so we can actually proudly hold on to that, which is good. You know,
Light the beam.
exactly right.
Yes.
Preach it.
So,
Anyway, I think that creative output is something that musicians have to decide whether that's their goal or not. And for us,
Right.
I've never. I mean, we talked about this before. Like, I didn't get into playing guitar so I could play other people's music.
you know what, man? I have to thank you, because when you said that to me years ago, like, that's exactly what I needed to hear.
Yeah, hopefully it was good advice.
No, well, it was, because so for a while, I almost felt like I was expected to be out playing covers, like as a professional
who was
musician.
the person putting this peer pressure on you?
It was somehow like nobody but myself. I just thought, and I think here's what it is. I think that, well, I think a couple things. I think one, my students deserve an instructor who is musically active.
Sure. Yep.
Right? Like, you don't want to take lessons from somebody who the only play is when they're teaching a lesson.
Yeah. Well,
That's
or
not
in their bedroom. You know what I mean?
Or, yeah, totally. Right. And so there was pressure on myself to always be playing in a cover band, but that experience kept deteriorating, because you'd end up with people who were happy to play for free.
Law of diminishing returns, sort of. Yeah. A lot of
Yeah,
energy being
man.
poured in without anything getting back. Yeah.
Right. Having to play songs that you hate.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I never want to
5
play
sets of songs that you don't love. And, yeah.
Dude, I never want to play a Smash Mouth song again.
Yeah, no one should ever have. Smash
Yeah.
Mouth should have never played. They should have found a way to stop before
To
it
not
ever
play.
happened.
Right. Yeah,
exactly.
I'm telling you, dude. And yeah, it just really got,
You know what's really sad though, Ryan? I just had a thought. It's like, if you were to do like a King Diamond / Merciful Fate like tribute band, you would have like probably a quarter of the audience there that you'd have if you were a Smash Mouth tribute band.
Oh, I know. Well, right. No doubt.
Doesn't that make you so sad inside? You're like, it's like you gotta laugh because it's just so funny. Like, people would rather listen to Smash Mouth. It's in the terms of the numbers of the masses.
Now, just as a sidebar thing, if we can ever get Nita Strauss on the program, I think that she and Courtney Cox from the Iron Maidens, I think they did a King Diamond tribute,
Which is rad.
It's so rad, and I would love to hear all about that. I want to know who was Andy and was the other
I
guitar
gotta
player.
imagine Nita was Andy. I gotta imagine.
So if Nita was Andy, was Courtney Cox either Pete Black from like
Hank.
Them in Conspiracy? Well, Hank would have been Merciful Fate.
That's what I mean. Wasn't it it was King Diamond / Merciful Fate, or was it just King Diamond?
I think it was just King Diamond, but I could be wrong.
okay.
I mean, I would love to know more.
Yeah, well,
but
let's have to reach out and see.
yeah. So then was Courtney or whoever was not Andy LaRock was the other player. Was the other player Michael Denner, who was also in Merciful Fate?
That's what I was thinking.
Or
yeah.
was the other guitar player Pete Black, who was on Them in Conspiracy?
These are all questions that would be on our pay grade. We'll have to talk to Nita.
Man, I'm telling. See, you got me all inspired, dude. If you mention the Lakers,
This
I have to
is
go
what I'm
on
trying
a
to say though. Like,
tangent.
as much
King
as you and I
Diamond.
look at with so much disdain and scorn on Smash Mouth, like if you had a great Smash, well, if you even have such a thing as a great Smash Mouth tribute band, it would probably be like twice or 3 times the number of people to see that would be to see a King Diamond tribute band.
Dude, you know what?
This makes me so sad.
That'd be an easy band because you'd have a 2-song set list, and that was the end of it.
We're gonna do this one, and then we're gonna close with this one. All right.
Yeah.
Good night,
Hey, everybody. You're an all-star. Okay, bye.
Bye. Yeah.
I'm going to go back. I've never seen the singer from Smash Mouth in the same room with Guy Fieri.
You know what's also funny is that I keep confusing Smash Mouth with Sugar Ray. I keep thinking that's the same band.
Sugar Ray's first album was actually pretty good and fun. It's just they had that one hit song, and then every song after that was a clone of that hit song. That didn't rock.
Mark McGrath's the singer of the band.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's being like a TV personality, right? That kind of thing.
Yeah, he's like an America's Got No Talent person or
he's
something.
like the pop punk douchebag version of Bret Michaels.
Right.
Yeah. Sort of that. Yeah. I don't know, man.
A punk of love.
I guess what's funny to me about that, what I was going with that though, is that I think that sometimes it's easy to have a myopia from your own perspective, where you don't see any kind of valid artistry in this thing, and you can't understand why people would love it. And that for other people who don't dig that deep, they just want a fun song to tap their hand to, or tap their foot to, or probably not tapping their hand. That's all they care about. So like the idea of getting into this like rock opera with all these intricate parts, they don't care about that.
Well, it requires more of an investment on the listener, right?
Exactly.
If you're going out to a bar on Friday or Saturday night to get hammered because you can't stand your job,
or family, your wife, your girlfriend, whatever it might be. Yeah.
So you're out, getting hammered on the weekend. You don't want something that's challenging. So that's another
make you think, make you like have to sit and listen to the intricacy and
yeah. See, my buddy who is a Star Wars fan, he and I often.
I also am a giant Star Wars fan.
All right, dude. Well, here we go again, folks.
Sorry, guys.
His defense I forced myself to choke down the Obi-Wan series, which was so terrible, dude. All of it was bad. Every last part of it. Baby Leia was awful. No more. Okay. Yeah. So
you have to forgive Ryan's bitterness, people.
I'm not bitter. So here's the distinction, right? So he argues for entertainment that allows him to shut his brain off,
like a Fast and the Furious kind of thing.
Yeah. I was talking to. Funny you mentioned that. I was talking to my buddy who's in film school, because aren't they on like Fast and Furious 24 now?
That feels like it.
Yeah. And I asked him.
Every Fast and Furious is an exponent. Gets one bigger. So,
yeah. So I asked him, dude, like, I don't, like, who is it that likes these movies? I don't know how they keep getting made.
Yeah. And making all kinds of money, too.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I don't know anybody who is a Fast and Furious fan, right? It doesn't mean that I don't know people that are just like, mediocre, or as the kids say, mid on it.
Oh my God! That's
or that there's I probably know some people
Gen
who
Zers.
I probably know some people who think Fast and Furious is mid, but I don't know anybody who's a Fast and Furious super fan, across all walks of life and age groups.
Yeah, but maybe you just have too high of a level of expectation.
His answer was China.
Oh, but Chinese people are smart too, though. I mean,
it sells big in China.
I guess so.
That's from my small film industry connection.
It just to me
that makes sense.
It makes sense to me from the like lizard brain, like you lift bro kind of people that there's like, yeah, you lift bro, yeah, he lifts fast, drive fast, she's hot, like that kind of thing. That's like the exact kind of wavelength those guys run on. Bro, you lift bro. Let's go pound some 40s, bro. That drive fast. That's kind of that's for I always figured. It's like
yeah. Well, but I mean those people. Well, I'm about to go off on another tangent here, but yeah. Sorry. So my thing is that I like art generally, and it doesn't mean that there isn't some mindless stuff that I don't like. Like right now I'm watching this Japanese series called.
I can't believe you watched something from Japan.
Oh, dude, it's great. I think it's, I can't remember, on a future podcast, I'll get the name of it, but the whole show is just this young woman who goes to restaurants by herself, and she eats food, and she has a drink, and she describes it. I love it.
Super crazy. Wow.
Oh, dude, yeah. Like the last episode, she had a Sapporo, a beer, and some gyoza with garlic in it. And it's a half hour of her describing the food, and they're real restaurants in Japan.
And there's
right?
a very specific audience you're making that one for.
So there's always a plug for the restaurant. If I ever make it over there, I'll know where to eat. It's dude. So I mean but even then, I'm still contemplating the food and how it's prepared, and the ambiance, and like my mind is working. Right, it feeds my brain. So it gives me something to think about.
Tying that into the challenging people with the music sort of thing, I think that does involve an investment. I think people, you can tell how serious they are about music by what kind of music they're into. You know what I mean? And that's why I respect, and I also look at it kind of as a detriment when someone says, I listen to everything. But I find that that's like the whole the jack of all trades, master of none. Though, like you're not, you might listen to
Yeah.
everything, but you're not really passionate about anything.
Yeah, that means you just don't
Yeah.
really care at all.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yep.
And that tells me that you're not into anything, which is it makes me kind of sad as an artist. Is I think as we make music, we assume that people are going to eventually get into it, like we would get into it, like it is passionate about it. And I think
Yep.
that percentage of society has gotten smaller and smaller, just because there's just so many distractions now. People are not as music is not as central to people's lives as it once was. If that makes sense. So
Yep.
the question, though, at the beginning of the podcast was why make the art? Because it's valid in and of itself. If you're an artist, you make art because that's what you must do. Thanks for listening to Rock Guitar Confidential with Ryan and Scott. Please make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. Now back to the show. You
Yep.
know what I mean? And then you hope for the best as far as is it going to reach an audience? Are people going to enjoy this? Which brings us to the lowering expectations that's starting to happen with people making music with AI.
Oh yeah. Well, so then there's the whole
Like there's a
the
Nirvana
threat of
song
AI.
that was written by an AI recently, and
Well, I was going to point out, so AI has already been used for evil.
yes, well, the evil existed already. It's like a tool that got picked up by the AI.
Well, right, but I mean, I was hoping that the end of Kurt Cobain meant the end of his
Kurt-
music.
yeah,
He wouldn't
yeah.
be making any more music.
Yes,
but
that's why you
someone,
celebrated in that hallway with the Ingrid Malmsteen.
dude,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
dude, it seriously doesn't it sound like a plot for like the new Avengers movie, right? Like the super villain like crafts an AI, and the Avengers have to stop him before he writes a new Nirvana song.
And save the world from that
Yeah,
horrid
totally,
fate of
man.
having to hear more Nirvana. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, dude, we need like Wolverine and Iron Man, and
Yeah.
I know Wolverine's not in the Avengers yet,
He will
but
be,
it's going to happen,
shortly, yeah.
right? But yeah, dude, we need Scarlet Witch to like cast a spell on,
To stop Cobain. Yeah,
right? Dude, maybe Cobain is the villain.
AI Cobain. Well, he clearly he killed rock and roll, so there you go. He's already got
Oh
away
my
with that.
god, dude! Okay, after we wrap this podcast, I need to contact Disney.
Yeah, cool. And tell them how much you hate the Obi-Wan series.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd also happily give them tips on how to fix Star
Yes,
Wars.
well, we already have
all
that
know
well documented,
yes.
actually. So how that works.
But see, now we know, that could be the plot for the new Avengers film.
So what's the AI though with Nirvana? What is the deal with that? So
Well, yeah, just somebody. The headline: 27 years after death of Kurt Cobain, group uses AI software to create a quote new Nirvana song.
wow. Well, that's the world we're living in now. I mean, it's to me like the dance music and like EDM and stuff is like the obvious first place where that's going to happen because there's so little creativity happening. That
Well,
as it is.
depending on when you say dance music to me, I think like new wave. Bands,
No, I
like
think
New
EDM.
Order and-
I'm thinking unch music. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff, which I've
depends on
listened to, like the DJ
yeah,
Khaled's
well,
of the world. That kind
Oh,
of thing.
whoa!
Yeah.
Does DJ Khaled even actually make? Does he even put notes in a sequence? somehow?
Kygo. I'm trying to think. There's a bunch of other people like the DJs, the Marshmello, that kind of those kind of
Marshmello.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, those are all people who are like DJs, EDM artists.
DJs roasting
the
over
chain
an open
smokers. Those
fire.
guys, the chain smokers were like EDM.
Oh
kind of thing.
yeah, I
You know,
saw. They were on. I don't know if it was the Super Bowl halftime show
Yeah, it's
one
terrible.
year.
It's the worst.
It's well. Plus, there's a dude up there playing drums. I think,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
I don't know what that's up with. But the long story short, EDM
Yeah.
is electronic dance music. It's the kind of
Yeah.
thing if you went to a club to pick up chicks, this is what would be playing in the background. But it's basically nonstop kick drum going unch, 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 unch with like
Well,
weird random keyboard vamps over the top of it.
So if so the thing about so in my not so recent experience, because when I was growing up, I used to like going to raves and stuff, and when the beat speeds up, it like the music is supposed to feel good when you're on ecstasy.
I got you. Yeah.
That's what it's designed for. It's
Yeah.
it sounds great. If
I wish it
high on
actually
ecstasy.
was like music that was actually good music though. That's
Well,
good.
look, I
Yeah.
agree, but I don't think they're the worst offenders. I think
but here's what I'm trying to say, though.
that's a niche thing.
AI could do that very comfortably, easily. Like
Oh, yeah,
any
no doubt.
any AI could put an unch with a keyboard like pads over the top of it.
Well, so
Yeah,
you're touching on my initial reaction to AI writes a Nirvana song, and like I guess I didn't pay much attention to it because I mean, the AI doesn't need to be very smart to write a Nirvana song.
Or talented.
Like, yeah. So, I mean, I thought, well, this AI is in its infancy, then, like, how can it be
Wait till
a
that's
threat
a
to...
cacophony song.
Right, yeah,
You know what
totally,
I mean?
dude. Wait until AI creates a new Queensryche album.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's when I'm going to be afraid.
Well, here's what it comes down
AI.
to. Really, the AI is not the enemy here necessarily. I mean, until it actually literally becomes the enemy when it has robots coming and breaking through our doors and killing us. At that point, the AI will become the enemy. But right now, we are our own enemies because we need to have higher standards in terms of what we want from music. We can't just take whatever. You know what I
Yep.
mean? It's very much the equivalent of like, I don't want to go to an actual sit-down restaurant. I just want to get Arby's or I want to go get Taco Bell. And being totally fine with that and not having any kind of feeling like you're missing out because, that's fine, food, whatever, it's right there. I don't care. That attitude is what's going to get us having AI making all the music. Because, and not only that, and we talked about earlier in this podcast, you've already choked out how artists can even make any kind of income from this.
Right.
So like they're doing it just purely for the art. Now, if you get squeezed out because there's AIs making so much music, I mean, it's just, to me, at the end of the day, you're killing what makes art beautiful. You know
Yep.
what I mean? And not you specifically, you listening to this, but like
I'll tell you what,
as a
if-
society, I mean.
You know who would be, who should be threatened and who shouldn't be threatened? I'll go out on a limb here, and those of us who, as Tim Henson puts it, play boomer bends. Ha! I don't see AI. I don't know how I mean, who knows? It could just be my ignorance talking, but like the feel of a melodic rock guitar player and the decisions that any bespoke artist would make, I don't see AI replacing that in any convincing way. Now, if I were playing more Polyphia style guitar, I can definitely see AI replacing that, like that very literal.
I think it's just really
approach.
depends on which generation of AI you're talking about. I think if AI eventually will get to the point where it's completely. You ever heard of something called the Turing test?
Oh yeah, well
Yeah.
Yes, Ex Machina is one of my favorite movies ever. I've read the script 6 times.
So the Turing test is basically if you were to sit in a room where you couldn't see the person you're speaking to and have a conversation with this person, could you tell whether or not it was an AI or an actual person? If an AI can pass the Turing test, then it's basically
Turing with a G. Turing.
I'm calling
Yep.
it Turing because it's easier for me to say.
That's all right. I just don't want to get it mixed up with like that fake shroud thing.
Okay.
Or that city in Italy.
I will
sorry.
actually enunciate better. So anyway, the point I'm trying to make though is that like eventually this can get to the point where the AI is completely indecipherable from a person. The movie Her is like that, where he's talking to an AI that's basically he falls in love with the AI.
Yeah. I like the twist in Ex Machina is that, and it's stated by. Well, I'm not going to say antagonist, but one of the characters in the movie.
Spoiler alert here, by the way.
But part of the trick is to show his subject that it's a machine and then still convince him that it has consciousness.
Yeah, it's true.
So that's his extra little spin on the Turing test, designed by Alan Turing.
Nice.
Thanks.
He was also like into touring with fans, I guess. Right? That's-
Yes, well, Alan Turing. Yes,
Yeah.
he was on the road with
Yes.
Motley Crue back
exactly.
in the day.
He was the one who got them all the groupies.
Yeah. So this also ties another thing together, right? So I like entertainment that makes me think. So that movie, right? Separate from
Ex
music.
Machina we're talking about. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So I watched the movie. I've watched the movie probably. I mean, dude, maybe like 50 times. I read the script online. I bought a hardcover script book with essays about AI in it.
It's hardcore, man.
Yeah, dude. So like when I like something, I want it to have like a bunch of layers so I can dig into it. I want to find out who made it. I want to find out what other stuff they've made. Yeah, and I want.
By the way, the movie he's speaking of stars Poe Dameron, General Hux, and Lara Croft.
Before Poe Dameron and General Hux like cashed out to make Sesame Street in space.
Lara Croft too.
Yeah, you know what? Alicia Vikander is a great actress.
Yes, I saw her in the Jason Bourne movie. That's the first time I ever saw her.
She was in The Green Knight, which is a very
That's right, yeah,
very
yeah.
underrated movie. But and I didn't even know she was in it until her character appeared, and
yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised because she can play a role that has weight, but I'm never distracted from the character.
Now, this is actually an interesting conversation, is veering away from music for a second, because when it comes to art, too, because like with CGI being as good as it is now, and with the AI being what it is, it's not an inconceivable world where we're going to have movies starring fake actors and actresses.
Avatar.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, though. It may, like,
Yeah.
convincingly looks like a person's there, but it will be just an AI created. There's no. I mean, that means actors and actresses could also get put out of work.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
It's happening in video games too. I think a Microsoft person just rolled out an AI that it randomly generates non-playable characters for you to interact with, and then just generates text as you interact with it.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So,
I mean, it's just gonna. This is the absolute infancy of this stuff. So if you give it another 25, 30 years, in the way technology evolves exponentially, it's going to be like. We can't even conceive of how good it's going to be 10 years from now, let alone 20 years from now.
Dude, if you see a guy that looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like walking through your neighborhood, run.
Yeah, exactly. Because it probably is Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's trying to sleep with your housekeeper. Where's your housekeeper? I'm here to make sure your house is clean.
I hope our listeners are well off enough to have housekeepers. That would be great. And I hope that they're well compensated too.
Oh my God, that was white privilege for this weekend. I'm so sorry. So sorry.
No, I hope they're well compensated. So, so if I were, at least in the immediate, I mean, I figure I've got like another good like 10 or 15 years.
Where people still matter, sort of. So
yeah, just before I decide, before I'm on my deathbed, another good 10 to 15 years.
Oh my God. You are selling yourself short, Ryan. Oh my God.
Dude, I don't know, man. I can't. I'm 45 now, and
by the time you're 60, it's all over.
I mean, I kind of hope so. I mean, I don't like being in my 60s. Just doesn't. I don't know how that jives with my personality.
So what you're saying is you don't want to be an old person.
No, I already am not enjoying being. Well, I mean, I'm enjoying being 45. These are some of the best years of my life, in part thanks to our creative alliance and our friendship and all the other cool stuff I get to do.
Yeah. And for you folks listening,
and for the folks listening, and actually, you know what? At this stage in my life, I am as creatively satisfied as ever.
And that's great.
And it's because of the creative projects that you and I do together.
That's awesome, man.
It's already its own reward. So, now I'm extra stoked when I find out someone else is listening.
Yep.
And hopefully enjoying, or maybe listening and getting upset.
Yeah,
but
he's screaming at us at the moment right now.
But that's totally gravy.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think that I don't know why I get a fun kick out of just like stuff that I feel like I'm supposed to really love. That there's like all the societal pressure to love. I love poking holes in that. I don't know why. It's like I hate Nirvana. They suck.
Yeah, right.
I've never thought the Beatles are very good either.
capos are a frustration in my life because I teach people to play guitar.
Now, Polyphia sounds like a person doing geometry homework while falling downstairs. That's what that sounds like. I'm sorry. I'm not impressed by it. It's like, I think Winger fucking kicks ass. So take that, whoever's out there.
Right. And so it's from the get go. I think we've been clear that this is a forum where we get to express our opinions.
But I think there's something about that just appeals to me. The idea of just like gadflying the people
a little bit. Well, it's
that is. That's rock and roll, man. You're not supposed
if you're not upsetting somebody, it's not rock and roll.
You gotta stick it to the man. You know what I mean? And
dude, it's got to. Elvis made parents scared because he shook his hips.
Yep.
Right. The Beatles when they were in their Yellow Submarine phase scared parents because of all the LSD and stuff.
Oh, or even
the
having long hair back in that. I want to hold your hand. You're like, oh, those long hairs.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. You look at pictures of them like
right.
They're not long hair at all.
No, there was like shag bowl cuts or whatever. But if you're not, I think the essence of rock and roll, culturally speaking, like you've got to be pissing somebody off. That needs to be like pissed off.
Unapologetically following your own path too. I think that's something that's very rock and roll. Like there doesn't take any courage to do what everyone else does.
An egalitarian kind of thing. I wholeheartedly agree.
I think that's something that I think why rock and roll doesn't have as much currency as it used to is because people are not as interested in blazing their own path as they once were. I don't think that's as appealing of a path to people, especially people who grew up with a lot of comfort. The idea of being uncomfortable but doing that to follow your own path is not an appealing choice.
Well, we live in a society now where attention and likes are currency.
Please like me. Please like me.
I need to get thumbs ups and I need to get likes and views and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So
the idea of like being abrasive in any way is not seen as. I mean, I don't think you should go out of your way to be abrasive just to be abrasive. If you're doing something authentically that you believe in, and it happens to rub the society the wrong way, then that's very rock and roll. You
Yeah.
know, and that to me is what I mean. Not like going out of your way to be a jerk or something like that. You know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah, nothing, nothing like hateful or bigoted, of course.
Yes,
but
of course.
saying
which is
I-
never okay under any
which
circumstances.
is never
Yeah.
okay in any circumstance. Dude, yeah, man, that actually just infected my gaming world.
Oh no!
And that person who behaved
And all
that
you guys
way
wanted
is
to do was
exiled.
murder each other anonymously.
Right, we want to get together. We
Yeah.
want to murder other people in
Yeah.
a virtual
Such innocent-
environment
such an
with like
innocent-
monsters and zombies.
Innocence
and-
lost, Ryan. I'm sorry, man.
Right. So as long so there's the moral, folks. If you stick to the murder, you're cool, right? But as soon as hatred and bigotry
Virtually
gets
murder.
involved,
Virtual.
yeah, don't let your murdering get corrupted by hatred and bigotry. That's important. All right.
All right.
So yeah.
So let's tie this back to the AI thing. I think AI is going to have so many ramifications beyond art. I think art's the least of the ramifications. I think it's going to completely transform industry. I think that many jobs are going to go away.
Oh yeah, well,
Permanently.
so there was an economist I was reading a few years ago, and I mean, basically the thrust of their take was, for the American economy to continue, it already has to intentionally build inefficiencies into itself to keep people working.
Yeah.
So that there's enough consumers for
For the industry dysfunction.
for industry to function,
Yeah.
right? Like we're already on a service-based society, right?
Yeah. Very little manufacturing going on here, at least.
Very little manufacturing, and then AI will further make inroads into the service sector. So, like at a certain point,
It's going to be robots serving you breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's going to be robots driving our trucks. It's going to be robots working in factories, robots working at warehouses, robots delivering the mail, delivering
any menial
packages.
task. Yeah, well, if you
Yeah.
want to fast forward centuries into the future, for those who have seen Prometheus, which was the first of what was supposed to be a Ridley Scott prequel trilogy leading up to Alien. Of course, that's never going to get finished because people don't like thoughtful entertainment. Yet we're going to get more Star Wars series.
For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, anyways,
Yay, I love Star Wars personally, so that's me.
so, oh man.
But here's the thing, though. I mean, I think that we're moving towards a world where what happened to us musicians is going to happen to everybody.
Right. Well, so
Yeah.
there's like this medical pod in Prometheus where she
Okay.
has to jump into the medical pod to get the parasite out of her body.
Okay.
Right. And so yeah, it's automated. There's no doctor there. It's a pod. You get in the pod and you put in some input and then like the robot arms perform surgery, like a whole variety of surgeries.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I'm sure we're like centuries away from that kind of thing. Maybe not as
know.
far as we think, but
I think that we're going to probably live long enough to see a few things that we couldn't imagine could be true. Hopefully we'll live long lives, and things like
again, another good 10, 15 years. I'm good, man.
The next
like
10 years.
I'll be all set.
I think
yep.
we're going to see some unimaginable changes, like on the scale of like the Industrial Revolution, sort of changing the world, sort of thing. Hope, which was like anything else. There's good and bad and everything. There's going to be upsides and downsides. It's what it is. I think that the one thing though I'm not worried about AI though is that art is all about creative expression and
Yep.
individual creative expression, and I think that that's something that will never be replaced. I think in our careers, not only as artists but as instructors too. That's another thing. There's a whole art to in teaching people that you have to understand how to size this person up, what they need, how to approach presenting the information. Those are things that will be very difficult for AI to ever be able to do. Anything that's a menial task, like you said, like I'm pumping gas or checking someone out of the
Or
grocery
surgery,
store,
yeah.
or surgery. Yes, exactly. You surgeons are just menial task people.
You scalpel
Yeah,
jockeys.
exactly. But yeah, whatever. 15 years
yeah.
of school for whatever. But that's those people are in real danger. I think universal basic income is going to become a thing in our lifetime.
That's where I was
Yeah.
going with all that too.
Yeah.
It's going to have to be some sort of UBI or
Yeah.
I like to look at Star Trek. That's the smart science fiction
I like
television
Star Trek,
series.
too.
Yeah, totally. So like the thinkers watch Star Trek, and then there was Star Wars for the children.
What about if I like both?
Like, you can like both. That's fine. I want to like Star Wars. I was thinking about it the other day, and here's why the original 3 Star Wars films are better than any other Star Wars content. Right, and and the downfall started with the Phantom Menace. All right,
Going back over 20 years now.
Yep. So here's why the original 3 Star Wars movies are awesome, and everything else sucks.
Okay.
Okay.
Very, very bold take, Brian, I have to say.
No, here it is, right? And this is, this is coming from, I don't want my intelligence insulted in the art that I consume. No children.
Now, is that just because you don't have kids, though?
There are, well, no. So there are, the original Star Wars movies were beloved by children, myself among them.
And me too, of course. Obviously.
Right? But the cast wasn't populated by children. So it wasn't just that obvious cash grab to appeal to children to sell toys, right? When the first 3 movies were released, like there wasn't already a toy line.
Yeah, there was. By the time the Empire Strikes Back came out,
Well, they were preparing a toy line, but it went through some bumps before it like totally blew up.
By the way, there's a great documentary on that, on the toys that made us.
Yep.
It's on Netflix. It's really cool. They explain the whole thing.
Yeah. Excellent, dude. I'm thinking about that too when I mentioned this, right?
Yeah.
But as soon as the prequels come out, stupid baby Darth Vader. They put a stupid child who couldn't act in the movie, and now it's Sesame Street in space.
I mean, I don't know that that's in all accurate. But okay.
Even the most even the most recent Mandalorian, right? The very first shot of season 3 is baby Din Djarin. It's a stupid kid like taking his Mandalorian
That
oath.
actually is not Din Djarin. That actually is Paz Vizsla's son that you're speaking about.
All right, whatever. It's a stupid kid. I was already tuning out. Like, I think I got up and went to the bathroom.
It's eaten by a giant monster, by the way. That happens right after.
Wait, did he? No, he didn't get eaten.
No,
Some other people got
He survived.
eaten.
He's at the end of the series. He's there.
Of course he survived because he has plot armor because he's a child.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Da!
But
Huzzah!
I still love Mandalorian, so it's so awesome. So,
I'm enjoying it. There's still too many children in it. But.
I have kids though, and I grew up and I've spent I mean, I've raised kids and for years now, and I've got children in my life, and I'm around kids all the time.
Oh yeah, there's children in my life too. I just don't want to consume the same entertainment they
I know,
consume.
but it's they're part of life. To have that without having children involved is not realistic to a lot of people's lives, because a lot of people's lives very much involve children. So that to me, that doesn't feel out of place to have children there, because of course you have children. I have children in my life.
The first 3 movies, there were no children.
Well, that was in the middle of the very beginnings of the rebellion,
and Han shot first.
Yes, okay. So you saw Han Solo's. Okay, we're going to get off totally.
Sorry,
a total different track here, because I could go on for days about Han shooting first.
Okay, that's fine. Han shot first, and there's no kids. That's why the original Star Wars movies were great.
Everybody, you can send your cards and letters to Ryan Bowe. Yeah.
Please greenlight another Ridley Scott alien film, please.
But they have to make money, Ryan. That's the problem. This is the same thing we're talking about here. The same reason they don't greenlight another, I don't know, like a Heaven's Edge tour. It's like, well, Heaven's Edge is a great band, but there's not enough of a market for that to be touring stadiums.
And so, to bring it all full circle, it bums me out that like for Ridley Scott to make a sci-fi film on the scale that he can, that has the highest production value, that makes you think. I mean, dude, it's like the great rock music of days gone by.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Right? It's a commentary on society.
Mutt Lange being in the studio for 3 years making something or whatever. Yeah.
Right. I don't want popular music to be Muppet Babies in space.
Yeah.
I want popular music.
And stuff. Yeah.
I want popular media to make. I want people to want to think.
Yeah. Yep, that's not selling the easy sell. That's for sure.
No, I know.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I'm with you. I actually very much feel a lot of the same things you feel when it comes to music. I definitely want to look. I'm not over the top. It's got to be some crazy progressive opus, but I want melodic songcraft and good song structure. But I also want to have good, interesting riffs and harmony and improvisational sections and things like that. I want it to feel like great musicians are playing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Within the structure of its great song. A good example, like a song like "Carry On My Wayward Son" by the Kansas. Like, where it's like
timeless.
Well, I mean, it's a really catchy pop song, but it's got great parts, and it actually has these different sections it goes through. And I think that's kind of what we should aim for, is something like that. Or something like "Who's Crying Now" by Journey is a good example of a very pop song.
Sure.
With great instrumental sections and really interesting hooks. And it's not like it's not some kind of bitter pill to make someone listen to. It's very accessible.
Or like Blue Oyster Cult, right?
Yeah.
Like Don't Fear the Reaper is a big hit, or Burnin' For You. Yeah, Burnin' For You it's got those interesting changes where it gets kind of jazzy.
And everything's got like the improvisational thing to it. And go down the line, listen to Master of Puppets. I mean, it's a similar kind of thing.
Or down the line, Hold the Line by Toto.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's great, interesting sections in this very accessible package, which is what we should aim for. I think that unfortunately it's gotten to the point where it's like all accessible, no interesting, or it's so out there. It's like a Polyphia thing where it's like there's no melody or hooks anywhere. It's just this weird abstraction. And
Yeah.
I think we got to kind of aim for that right in the middle. Although, we're really, at the end of the day, talking about art. It's someone's creative output, and whatever they feel like they need to do to feel like they're expressing themselves fully, they should be allowed to do. And whether that is within, actually, no, it
So
shouldn't be.
what's popular is a reflection of society.
That's true.
And so if AI art becomes popular, then that I think is a poor reflection of society.
Yes, it's us that's to blame,
Right.
Not the AI,
Yep.
because we're the ones who have to consume that and say, sure, that's just as good. Fine, that's good. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
again, people could have consumed Alien Covenant and we'd get another one, but instead people are watching Obi-Wan.
That's true. I was one of the ones watching Obi-Wan. I really love episode 6.
What? Episode 6 of Obi-Wan? What happened?
That's when Vader and him had the big battle on the planet.
The battle was
Oh, guys, I'm
terrible.
sorry. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the Obi-Wan series, that happens.
No, you know what? Don't watch it, you guys. Go watch Alien again.
I do really love Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan, though. He's awesome. So I have to say.
I liked him better in Trainspotting.
I bet you did. I had a feeling you might have.
Oh, and there was a movie he did before that where they were interviewing. He was living in a flat, and they had to interview a new roommate, and then the roommate dies, and they find like millions of pounds in his bag, and then the roommates fight over it. I'll have to remember the name of that. It was before Trainspotting in Ewan McGregor's career. Very good movie.
Sounds very uplifting, actually.
And yeah, well, and a clever film.
It's the perseverance of the human spirit over
Now,
adversity.
You're gonna have to use your brain to enjoy it, folks. So
I got faith in people who listen to this podcast or people who use their brain, who have high standards
definitely.
when it comes to art, who are definitely going to go right now to www.xagisband.com and check out all of our music. And hopefully by the time you listen to this, go ahead and purchase the album and go home and maybe 5 or 6 copies. Make sure you just give it to everybody you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if you're just downloading it 5 times, that's what you should do.
Listen to it on all the platforms, and then also if you wish to purchase it, we'd be forever grateful because then we're going to make another one. Then,
Yep, exactly right. Exactly.
So.
And thank you guys for listening to this podcast. This has been Rock Guitar Confidential with Ryan and Scott. Please make sure to rate and subscribe and review this podcast. Our socials are what, Ryan?
Well, it's EXAEGISBAND.com and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and stuff, right?
Yep. It's going to be
Did I say that right?
facebook.com/xagisband. It's going to be twitter.com/xagisband. It's going to be instagram.com/xagisband. And our website is going to be, again, www.xagisband.com, where you can find out all the information on the band, bios, music. You can hear there's lyric videos up there and all that stuff if you want to hear what we're doing. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast, and we will catch you next time.
Again, that's EXAEGISBAND.
Take it easy, guys. Bye.
Peace.